Hello.
welcome to the stream. So I guess hello, Bree. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are
Doing
you?
well. Hopefully, people are joining. If anybody is watching, feel free to drop something in the chat. I have, as is with most streams we will do, we are doing this on the fly. It's going to be fun. So, see, we have Nanasi saying GM, GM everyone, GM Beeman. How are you doing? So what we're going to do is, if you are familiar with the video series that we've had in the past, we had something called the Solana Changelog, where every week we would go week by week talking about the different changes on Solana, what's upcoming, things for developers to know. We wanted to, or at least I wanted to do it live and just see how it goes. So we're going to start doing this week. Feel free to give us any feedback that you might have on it. And we will talk about the changes. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to pair this with a post of the changes. So if you do miss the live stream, you can go back and read just the post. Or if you want to join live, you can go and ask questions and be like, hey, what is this specific change on Solana? Or could you get more information on it? But yeah, without further ado, I think we can get started. So let me just make sure that we update real quick and we'll get going. All right. So the first thing I wanted to kind of highlight for everyone is there's been a bunch of changes on the Explorer. And this is shout out to Noah at Solana Foundation, who's been doing a lot of work on this. And I wanted to specifically showcase, if you're looking for information about future changes, there's a whole bunch of information about the feature gates right here on the Explorer. So you can see here, right now we have whenever the activation was for each feature, what is the SIMD, and you can actually link it, and what is the actual feature gate that's linked to it. So like things like, well, one of the things that we'll talk about today is raising block limits. And you can see it was actually activated just yesterday. Well, 2 days ago, actually. Well, the transaction was 2 days ago, but the activation was yesterday because the epoch reached. And you can, if you wanted to read about it, you can just click on that link and you'll get into the SIMD. So if you're ever interested in different changes, this is where you can go to read about each of those changes. And then, Bree, I think you wanted to talk about the next change.
Yep. So the next change is around direct mapping. And basically, when we execute a program on the VM today, we load all the accounts and serialize the account data in a buffer that the program receives as an array slice. So after execution, we read the buffer and write back to the program runtime. It's very time consuming. So it's because we're reading and writing a lot of times to the memory. So with direct mapping, we're no longer going to write account data to the buffer anymore. Programs will receive pointers to the accounts and will be able to interact with them directly. So the pointers point to the actual accounts loaded from the database.
Awesome. One of the big things in direct mapping is actually incredibly important because it is the precursor to a lot of other different performance improvements, namely raising CPI nesting limit. So this is another SIMD, that's SIMD 268. And what it is the current, I guess we can go with Scala draw this if we want to. We're doing this live, so we're gonna have some fun, right? Let's just go through all my other drawings. All right, so if you're not familiar with Solana program development, if you have a program, we'll call this program A, and let's have it called program B. That is considered a CPI depth of 1. So right now, if you had program A called program B, CPI depth of 1. If you have it called program C, that's 2. So basically, it's just like there's a nesting depth limit. And today, the nesting depth limit is 4. So this showcase there, I can add one more if I wanted to. It's 4. This can be limiting for some different use cases that you want to do on Solana, namely smart contract wallets. if you want to do everything with a smart contract wallet, you're going to have higher CPI depth on all your different calls, because by default you are interacting with anything as a CPI because you are a smart contract wallet. So this 7268 will raise the CPI depth limitation, or the nesting limitation, from 4 to 8, but it is a requirement that direct mapping be enabled first. Or it's not necessarily a requirement, it's highly recommended, I should say. And in fact, if I believe it might not be in this one, but if you just look up direct mapping here in the repo, you'll find it being referenced a whole bunch of saying, hey, they're treating the same, this thing will get better when direct mapping is enabled. Or here it's like, depending on direct mapping for the gets this far. So there's a bunch of different things that depend on direct mapping. It's pretty important. It's been worked on for, I think, 3 to 4 years now. But yeah, that is coming up. Bree, do you want to go into the CU stuff?
Yeah. So there was a 70 out for increasing CU from 48 million to 50 million that just passed and is now live on mainnet. And now we also have 7256 that's currently out to raise block limits to 60 million. So that is just some performance increases, and yeah.
And Moose says 100 million CUs next, or we're going to grab some pitchforks. Yes. So as
Yes.
I would love to have 100 million CUs. That would be really fun to, and also very interesting on the network to see what we can do. But everything is so CU increases are not dependent on direct mapping. However, direct mapping will allow you to do more, like more increases in the future. Right now, they're testing basically. They went from 48 to 50, and now they're going to go from 50 to 60. And Brennan Watts, who is the one who opened this PR, also did I believe, analysis on Twitter about it, of being like, hey, the average slot time did not increase really at all. It actually looks like it stayed the same or decreased. And it seemed fine. So Brendan Watts saying, let's go even higher. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but that's what he's been saying on Twitter. And that is, the more we can increase it, the more stuff you can do. And what's fun is actually this. So this is live. If you look at the way that blocks are filling up, they're already filling up to the 50 million CUs. I thought it was really funny that everything's saying 104%. It just means that they hard coded a constant in this dashboard too for the CU cap limitation. Anyways, so on the flip side of increasing CUs, we also want to decrease CU consumption, right? So Bree, do you want to talk about the P token a little bit?
Sure. I don't know much about the P token, but I do know that it is a way to use, it's a new token program that essentially uses less CU when you're transferring tokens.
Yes. P token specifically is like, it's a replacement for token keg, but it's a drop-in hot swap replacement. And that's what 266 is talking about doing, is doing that hot swap. And today our token instructions take up about 10% of every block. And the P token actually makes it to where it potentially would take, 0.5% of every block, allowing you on the other end to do even more on Solana. So if you look at the future, we're both seeing CU caps increasing, as well as CU utilization decreasing on programs, allowing just overall everybody to do more on Solana. It's really taking in the IBRL. Right, cool. Oh, you're actually on the Twitter feed as well?
I am.
Okay. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is super exciting to me is that if you've been having issues with how far behind Rust is on the Solana CLI, just yesterday they merged in, the Onza team merged in 184, Rust 184, which is still, it's like 90 days old, but that's much better than it was. I think we were at 172 before.
Yeah,
Was
it's
it one?
pretty old.
Yeah, was it 172?
7.6.
176?
I think so, but still, not great.
Yeah, 176. So quite old at this point. So it's great to be on a, it's not stable yet, but it's probably as close to stable as we're ever going to get, because there are, well, actually, we might get stable at some point. We are what, like a 3-month timeline for different major upgrades. What's exciting is they shaved off, or they are currently on schedule to shave off 2 weeks. I'm probably jinxing the whole thing at this point by saying that. They're on schedule to shave off 2 weeks on the schedule this time around for the release, and so they're trying to target over the long term 4 to 6 week releases for these big minor versions. Big minor versions, great. So we might actually end up being unstable at some point, which would be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be great. I know we did a workshop not too long ago and had everyone install Rust, and it installs the latest version by default. So nothing was working, and we had to go through and show everyone how to set their Rust to a specific version. So it'll be nice to not have to do that in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody remembers the BiteMuck derive issues that we had for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
It just happened those 4 or 5 days we were onboarding a bunch of devs.
Yep. It always happens like that.
It's great. All right. I also realize I need to zoom in on all of these. All right, cool. The other thing I kind of want to talk about is Anchor. So there in the last live stream that Bree and I did, we talked about Anchor 031 and all the different changes that were coming live with Anchor 031. So what is the future hold, and what does it kind of look like? So first off, we have Anchor. We want to get into like Anchor V1. And what does that mean? Anchor V1 is the tried and true battle tested framework that you know and love. It's Anchor without a lot of the extra foot guns that you currently have, as well as like a lot of the dead code that just exists in Anchor. So there's a number of different things that we are potentially looking at to add to Anchor V1. Namely, we're considering removing all these deprecated code. It's accumulated a lot of tech debt over the past, I think it's been live for 4 years now, Anchor. I forget if it was June or April that it went out in 21. So over the past 3 to 4 years, it's accumulated tech debt and extra code that's just dead. So we're trying to remove that and get rid of it. There's another thing is that there's a bunch of different optimizations that we want to do on the CU side, mainly like, hey, we introduced lazy accounts. Let's make that even better in the CU. Let's make CU overall just better throughout various improvements, and also make sure that different things like the IDL generation uses the stable Rust compiler, not nightly, because every once in a while you run into like an issue with that. So anyways, that is all I'll say is Anchor V1 will basically stabilize and make and remove a bunch of foot guns that you previously had. And then Anchor V2, that's still under works of what that's going to look like. I'm hoping to see an issue about or calling for different ideas and different things that you want to see in Anchor V2. If you do have things you want to see, please put them in the chat, or feel free to post on Twitter and comment. We would love to see, like, what do you want to see in a V2 version of Anchor? All right. Next up, MCP. Have you tried any of the MCP stuff, Bree?
I have not.
All right.
I definitely want to, though. I know Noah has been chilling it a bunch in the office. So.
Yes, Noah is great. He did the Explorer, and now he's also done this. Also, shout out. Oh, I know his real name. I don't remember his tag name. The guy who's working at MCP. It's like Kaizen, I believe, is his tag name. they've been doing a lot of good work on the MCP server. Basically, is that this is an MPC server that you can basically ask questions via cursor and get answers back to help you basically develop on Solana. And I believe I just showed this the other day, is that cursor now with MCP, or has MCP support for the agents as well. So you can use those to quickly build new Solana smart contracts, Solana front ends, etc. This is like super useful because if you've ever used AI like ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, they're way behind on Solana. They're like on Anchor 28 or even Anchor 26 in some cases. And so, in order to help give it better context, we have this MCP server to use, and hopefully to use during the next Coliseum Hackathon. And how about you bring in the Coliseum Hackathon, Bree?
Yeah. So there is another hackathon upcoming. If you're new to Solana, we have this pretty often for Coliseum. It is just a very well-known hackathon within the ecosystem. There is a lot of visibility across the ecosystem, and a way to work with some great devs and just learn how to build a product for Solana. It's just a great way to get your project out there and meet some people in the ecosystem. So I definitely recommend working on a project, finding a team.
Yeah, and I believe the Coliseum Hackathon starts next week on Monday, the 14th. So if you have an idea or just want to start registering, like go to coliseum.org, sign up, and get ready to start building, because it's gonna be fun. It's really not really it's like not really a hackathon, but it's actually kind of like a business competition, because you're trying to build the best business. It's not a short hackathon. It's a 6-week hackathon, or no, 4 or 5-week hackathon. So it's pretty good. And then
It's a
one
while.
thing, it is. I don't think I've ever, other than the big hackathons, I've never actually spent that much time on like one project that's outside of my just general work. Anyways, and I can't have this live stream without talking about Accelerate. Bree, you're actually in New York. What's going on the ground over there?
I don't know, actually. It's not happening in the office, so I don't have much a
That
sight
is
of what's going on.
that is fine. So Accelerate basically an event for the US. This actually website has changed since I last looked at it. What it is it's for both developers and people that want to ship products out there. It's also a celebration of like a lot of the future of crypto in the US. So if you are if you are interested in going to a Breakpoint size conference in the US, I will see you May 19th, hopefully for Scalar Die. You can get tickets on the website. And there are awesome, like look at that, 3,000 builders potentially attending, lots of different executives, etc. And Spaceman Dev has reminded us, actually, Spaceman Dev, I don't know Onion DAO's, is it just Onion DAO's website? I'm sure we can just go to the Twitter and it'll go to it. And then afterwards, you can all meet us in Onion DAO, because Onion DAO will be one of those pop-up co-working spaces in Chicago, June 16th to July 11th. That is kind of like a Mountain DAO-esque event. We hope to see you there. And then Bree, I think we wanted to showcase 2 of the things that you're working on as well.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to?
I'll share my screen.
Let's get to it.
You
can tell us like roughly what you're trying to do with these as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to zoom in a bunch. Okay. I want to have all of these tabs open to showcase what's happening. So it's going to be a little tiny, but you don't really need to read, so it's okay. What you really need to read is just, let's fix that. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
So I have a branch from a fork of Agave that I've just kind of been playing around with to see some proof of concept of what we can do with the test validator. And we've gotten a lot of feedback on local testing of ways it can be improved. Some issues there is just getting accounts on the validator. Everything currently to make any adjustments to the test validator has to be done statically. You have to reset the ledger and restart it. So we're working on a way to integrate like a dynamic way to make updates to the validator, so you can have your local validator running and make tests with adding accounts and doing different account manipulations to help set up your environment for local testing. So one of the use cases I'm going to walk through right now is just cloning USDC onto your test validator and funding it. So if anyone on the stream has watched previous streams of Jacob and I, back when I was very new to Solana, I remember he asked me on one of the streams to do this, and it took me quite a long time and I wasn't able to actually do it by the end of the stream. So now you're going to be able to do it in just like 2 commands. And yeah, we're just going to walk through it. So we're first going to run the test validator, but we're going to run it from my branch on this repo. So Solana test validator. Okay. This is going to compile everything, and wow, that's big font. Okay. So you can see the validator is initializing right now, and it is currently running. I'm just going to expand this for a second so you can see the slots. Okay. So here we go. We have our RPC URL is on our local host. We're currently producing slots. Actually, let me reset this because I think I may have ran this command already. So we're going to run it, pass through the reset flag. Okay. And now we'll let it initialize again. Okay, there we go. We're starting from the beginning. We're processing new slots. Now we're just gonna tab this, oops, not that. Tab this over for now. And just so you know, like this is still running, we're gonna keep it open. Okay. Now I'm gonna go here and just check for, wow, let's zoom that in a bit. Okay, so Solana accounts, and I have somewhere the USDC account saved. Okay. So I'm just gonna paste in the USDC mint address here. And you can see it's not found. And we're just gonna validate that I'm on the right config. So Solana config get. Okay. So we're currently running on our local host. You can see that the account is not found. So now we're going to get this on our local validator. So this is just, if you've struggled with local testing and getting multiple accounts, you would have to do this in many steps and have it completed before starting your validator. So now we're just going to go here and we're going to make an RPC request. And we're going to use this new command, clone account from cluster. So all I'm doing is I'm specifying the accounts that I want to clone from mainnet. There's an optional flag if you want to clone something from devnet or testnet as well. It defaults to mainnet because most of the time you're cloning from mainnet. So since we're leaving that section as null, we don't need to specify it here. But we're just going to pass through the USDC mint account.
So wait, is this like a new, what is this RPC call, I guess?
Yeah, so it's clone account from cluster. It's a new method that's been implemented on the test validator JSON RPC request struct.
Mhm.
So this is just something on my forked version of Agave. It's not actually live. This is just more of a proof of concept. I have a few PRs in that are currently I'm working with the team on. So this is only a method available on my fork of Agave, but it's clone account from cluster. And all you specify from the param is the account that you want to clone from Solana mainnet. So here you can see this is the mint account for USDC. I'm going to send this, And the response account was successfully cloned. So now we're going to run this same Solana accounts for USDC, and you can see it exists now. Now, if you want to actually test with USDC, you're going to have to actually fund the account. So I remember before we had to find an account that was funded to clone and then change the owner to your local key pair and then be able to send it to the account, the token account you want. So now you're just going to have one command created, and that command is going to have several different fields, and they're all kind of optional. This was just more of a proof of concept of what you can do. It's not super intuitive, so I'm going to update it to be a little bit more intuitive. So if you have any ideas on how to do that, send me a DM. I'd love to hear. But I can pull up what that. Well, first, let's look at the. We don't have a token account. Okay, so that's the first issue. We don't have a token account to actually query here. So I'm going to show you what the actual code looks like. So let's zoom in again. And am I on the right branch here? I don't know. Let's see. Okay. So let's go over to where these methods were written. And I don't remember at the moment, so bear with me. We have, I think, RPC. Actually, here we go. Okay. So you can see these are functions that have been implemented on the JSON RPC request processor. This is a new version. So it's now a JSON RPC request processor trait that has two different structs. You have the default JSON RPC request processor, which works exactly as it already does. And then you have this additional one that now has additional functionality. And that's just to keep things safe on the mainnet side and make sure that these functions can't be accessed from a mainnet validator. So here we go. We have the update token account, and you can see the parameters here that are passed through. They're all optional, and that's just because the logic in here handles things differently depending on what you pass through.
So quick question. Yeah. Is this just like an RPC method then to update your token account?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. So you can see the fields that you can pass through here, and I'll walk through a few different ways to use this function. And then the plan is to just kind of separate this into multiple functions so it's a little bit more intuitive to use. But if you pass through the token account, it's going to directly update the token account for you. And you can update two fields. You can update the owner fields or the amount, or both at the same time. And the reason you'd want to update those two fields is you would want the owner of the token account to be your local CLI key pair, so you have access to send and transfer for testing, or maybe you want to reassign the owner to a different program for one of your tasks. And then you also want to update the amount just to be able to easily fund your key pair. So those are the two fields that you can update. Now, if we wanted to use this with the token account address, we couldn't right now because we don't have a token account. So you can actually simplify this a little bit more, and this will create a token account for you. So if you leave this optional field blank, you do have to specify the mint account. So if you leave both of these blank, you'll get an error. It'll explain why. But if you only specify the mint account, it's going to generate a token account for you with your local key pair on your like Solana CLI. So that's what we're going to do because we don't have a token account for USDC. So let's go back here. And let's just make sure our test validator is still running here. You can see we haven't had to stop anything in the process. We're still running a local environment. And now let's do, we're going to go back to Postman and make another RPC request. So now we're going to use this token account method that we just talked about. I'm going to paste in. Okay, so here's an example. What we're doing is we're setting the token account to null because we don't have one. the mint account we want for the token account is going to be USDC. And we already cloned USDC, as you can see here, it now exists on our local host. And okay, the next thing is we can reassign the owner. I want to keep the owner as myself at the moment, so I'm just going to set this to null.
So I have a quick question. When you do set it to null on the token account, does it create it like as the PDA to you, or like to your current wallet, or how does that work?
Yeah, it creates it with your local key pair. So whatever you have when you type in Solana address, it's going to create it with this address as the owner for your token account.
Okay, that makes sense. It's always good to have that, because then you can do the get token account, get the one that is get or create token account, right?
Yeah.
You can just use that function versus like I remember when we were doing this when in the original live stream, we were just taking any old token account, but the address would not be the create one that would be generated from that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then we had an issue with like being able to then send tokens from it because we needed to update the owner.
Yeah, so this makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. And this is essentially all in one step. So now I want to fund it as well. So I'm going to fund it with some USDC. Okay. Now let's check this out. We're going to send the request, and oh, I must have for some reason changed it where you need to specify the owner.
Sorry,
I have multiple branches, so I might be on the wrong one, but it's fine. Okay, so let's send it again. So now you can see that it's been successfully created. So we're just going to check the result that's returned is the address of your token account. So we're just going to query that. So if I go, not that one, I want this one. Okay. If I go to Solana accounts and I paste this in, you can see this account now exists. And okay, now I want to.
What kind of luck did you have to have that many ones in your public key?
I have no idea.
Like, that is quite some luck to generate a PDA with that many ones.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. That's crazy. Okay, now we're, oops, that's not the right command. Hold on. Solana display, SPL token display, I think. Yep, here we go. So you can see this is the token account that we created. And this is all on our local validator. So you can see the balance now. We have a bunch of USDC, and this is the address of our token account. You can see the mint account is the USDC mint account that we cloned from mainnet. And that's going to have all of the same data as mainnet. And you can see the owner is my Solana CLI key pair.
Cool.
So now we can also continue to update that. So if I wanted to just send this and change this to, no, we'll just multiply that. Okay, now we're just going to display again, and you can, oops. Let's see if that works. Oh, it didn't update. Okay, well, it should have.
So I think like the use cases for this is it's so that you can very easily test locally by pulling down state, and potentially is this also like potentially in the future being able to automatically copy state whenever you are doing transactions?
Yeah, that's the plan.
All right, cool.
And it currently works for programs as well, so you can clone programs from any cluster. Yeah, and you can see it's all running while the validator is running. Yeah.
That's awesome. So for those that are watching, this is a change that we're trying to make on the Solana test validator. I believe, Bree, you already have some PRs on this out there. So if people want to look at that and see what's coming up, there's a whole bunch of changes we're making, or I guess specifically Bree is making to the Solana test validator. Did you want to talk?
Have any ideas, let me know. or just like ways to make this more intuitive, let me know as well. And also the plan is, personally for me, I like to work directly in my terminal always. I don't want to be writing RPC requests. So just adding this as just terminal commands as well, just to be able to have this open, just how we were checking with our Solana CLI. We can do that with updating our methods to the Solana test validator.
Cool.
So yeah.
That'd be awesome.
And the next one is errors. I did not. So we're just going to walk through what it currently looks like because my code is a mess and not prepared for this. So
I asked this like just very impromptu 2 minutes before we started. Just for anybody that's watching, this is very impromptu. However, so errors are a big problem on Solana. Like why is that? I guess what are we trying to solve?
Yes, we want to be able to display more information so you're not lost when you're getting an error testing out your programs. I know I've definitely gotten some errors that I had no idea where to go from there. It's specifically like account related ones. If you're passing through like 12 counts in a program and you don't know where it's erroring. So we're just updating this to be able to pass through some more information when it generates an error. So this is directly in the Solana SDK. You can see that there are several different sections. Oh wait, sorry, hold on. I went back too far. Okay, program error. So you can see here, this is where the Solana program errors exist. And you have things where they don't add additional information. It's just a blanket statement for where the error is implemented. So we'll want to add information. For example, here, the arguments provided to a program instruction were invalid. Well, we want to specify like what instruction specifically. Things like here in accounts data, contents were invalid. We're going to pull in the actual account that is having an error with the instruction. So yeah.
Cool.
Just updating some things. Definitely send me DMs if you have ideas or specific requests, or just want to chat about ways to make some improvements.
Yeah, if you run into an error that you have no idea what it is, send it to Bree. Suddenly Bree's going to get all these errors.
Perfect.
Completely unrelated. Okay, Spaceman had a question. Is there a Solana inspector in the CLI at all? That might be a useful feature. It's a good point. You know, so I think he's talking about the transaction inspector on the Explorer.
Oh, KV made one of those. We were actually going to integrate it into Mucho. I think Nick may have completed that. But if you look at KV's repo, I think, if I understand what Spaceman is asking,
didn't Nick do it completely differently and make it just as like increase the amount of features that KV had?
Maybe. But I do. Wow, why am I in Anza? Hold on. Let me go home. I do like what KV has a lot. So this would be cool to integrate.
These live stream changelogs are going to be fun. So it's a lot of just impromptu things.
We're just scrolling here.
It's going to be great.
My really slow. I just requested to have a faster internet. I'm waiting for them to process it.
It's the second link. Or just GitHub's not working.
It's like Sol something. Oh, it's just Sol. Yeah, here. So this is a command line explorer for the Solana blockchain. You can download this now on your computer and use it. And it just shows you basically what Explorer does right in your CLI, so you don't have to leave it. I think it's super helpful, especially for anyone who is primarily a backend dev and you just like to work in your terminal. Yeah, this is great.
Also, I believe if you've installed Mucho, and I'm grabbing the exact commands right now, if you use Mucho inspect, it has all of this today. as well, including some additional features like inspecting transactions, inspecting different slots, different blocks, etc. Those are all there today. Actually, do you have Mucho installed right now?
That's a great question.
There you go. Do Mucho inspect and then type in like you have to put in like an address. So grab some random transaction on mainnet.
Can I just do this? Will it inspect an account for me?
Let's see.
Oh, I don't think I've updated it since he pushed this.
It's working though, because you just have to update. You're currently pointed at localhost.
Oh, missing required argument. Oh, also that. Okay, hold on.
If you do Solana config set -um, it'll work.
What was wrong with that one? That should have worked, no?
You didn't type in a URL. Mainnet is not a real URL.
Oh. Yeah, that's correct.
Sorry, Bree.
It works when you write localhost.
Yeah, because it's like
the actual URL.
I think it's a moniker, right? So, or mainnet beta is
cool. This is cool. Nice, Nick.
Yeah, there you go. So hopefully that answers your question, Space and Dev. You can do everything with Mucho Inspect, and you don't even have to go to an Explorer if you didn't want to.
Yep. And the plan is to add in the Solana test validator additional commands specifically into Mucho. So you can just continue using Mucho when you're making updates to your local environment.
Cool. All right. I think that's all we have today for let's see, Spaceman Dev also asked another question. Can you do transaction inspect with B64 non-working transactions? If not, we need to add that. So we will create an issue to make sure we have that. But on that, I think that's everything we have today for this week's changelog. I'm kind of hoping to do this once a week. I don't know, Bree, if you want to come every week, but you're welcome to. I'll also grab some other people as well, and we will talk about the changes. But thank you for coming this week, Bree.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for tuning in, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Have a good one.